Thank you once again to the American Acupuncture Council for having me host their To the Point series on the practice management theme. Now, my name is Lorne Brown, and I'm a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And I'm also a CPA, and that's how come I guess I get to wear two hats and be your practice management support. I've written the book, Missing the Point, Why Acupuncturists Fail and What They Need to Know to Succeed. And today I am very fortunate today because rather than you get to listen to me, you get to listen to somebody who's really a force in the field of success. Her name is Tanya Chernova. She is an international speaker. She is the author of Undermine, an excellent book on removing those subconscious limiting beliefs to your success. She's the World Wellness Weekend Canadian Ambassador of the UN to their initiative of creating sustainability. She is a visionary. She offers coaching, workshops, lectures like today, and she helps companies, practitioners, teams break through their limiting beliefs so they can reach their peak potential, create success, not only help healing their own minds and the minds of their teams, but the minds of the planet. And today I had asked Tanya in very short notice, would you be willing to come on and share this with my colleagues, my group? And she's put together a presentation today called 3 Ways to Grow Your Practice in the New Normal. Tanya, welcome to the To the Point series, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to share with my group.
Thanks so much, Lauren. It's a pleasure to be here. And thanks so much for everyone for tuning in. This is such an important time in our lives, not just personally, but of course, professionally, and especially the people that are in the wellness industry. All of us in the wellness industry right now have an opportunity to really redefine who we are for others. So this is the time to really grow your business more than ever. Your business is the one that has to thrive. So if you want, I can just get to the point, right, and start the presentation. So I've put together a little bit of information for you. Now, normally we could talk about overcoming your limiting beliefs and things like that, but I do believe in being really practical. So my goal is for everyone to take away at least one significant action item that they're going to put into practice as soon as they get off this call and see the results rather dramatically. Okay, it's really important. Kind of like an acupuncture session, I intend that once you get off the table or off this Zoom call, you'll get something that's really practical and important to the lifeblood of your business. Okay, so 3 ways to grow revenue in the new normal. The first thing I want to do, of course, is take a deep breath together so that we can harmonize and get into a place where you're really receptive and not that subconscious place of resisting because you think, ugh, I just want to do the treatment and not worry about the business. But the business allows you to, it's really the stage that you perform on. So let's take a nice deep breath in through your nose and like, to vibrate your vagus nerve and release some of that oxytocin. Let's take another deep breath in through your nose. Like we're starting summer and there's no allergies and you're moving into a fresh field of breath, a great breath of fresh air. Okay, so now that you're going to take a deep breath, what I'm going to do is have you continue to do the deep breathing as you cross through the threshold of your comfort zone. Now, what I love about this time that we're in, and I mean, I don't have to tell you that with crisis brings opportunity. That's such a big maxim that people are talking about right now. But I've had the luxury, quite frankly, to be in positions of, crisis management consulting. So in 2008, it was my first crisis management mission that I went to Romania, to Russia, to the Ukraine, and L'Oreal actually sent me on that big expedition for their hair and skin salons out in the area of beauty and wellness. And what was so dramatic at the time is that we were going through the oil and gas crisis, and we saw the wave coming to Eastern Europe, who had already been really thriving in the area of beauty and wellness, because that's such a European base core value, is that above all else, health is wealth out there. And what was really important to understand is that that's when people's spending and their income just plummeted. And yet still the people that went through my crisis management training out there didn't only come out, but they came out as market leaders in their industry. And then in 2011, when we had that big real estate crisis in the US, that was so huge. Again, I went out as crisis management consulting all the way through the United States for 4 straight years, helping them rebuild and reinvent in preparation, not just for what the crisis brought, but for the wave of growth that comes thereafter. And that's the thing I really want everyone to take away from today. It's like, yeah, we are really seeing a change in the way that people are spending, and we're going to look at that a little bit more. But we have to understand that for every wave that goes through us, there is another aspect of the undertow that can actually take you higher if you can ride it. Okay, so I'm going to show you some ways to do that. Now, I just want to let you know that I've been on both ends of the spectrum as a practitioner in the area of wellness, and also having created my own brand of products. There was 11 different products that I created with my mother, actually, who was a dermatologist from Russia. She used to create creams that healed gangrene without amputation back then. I mean, she's just an amazing human being. And, she was the one that really taught me when we were working in the clinic that it is your absolute obligation and solemn duty to give people what she called homework. The things that you're supposed to do at home once you leave the treatment. And the treatment for her was really just the beginning of what was ultimately going to become their better self. So you'll look at this thing, she's wrapped in this big face bra. And believe it or not, I actually went on the shopping channels around the world, and I grew my business to $1 million in revenue my very first year. So it's important for you to know that I'm not just speaking literally because I'm passionate about this subject, and because I'm so excited for you to grow and succeed, and that because I believe that wellness is the most important thing that we can invest in. But I too have been where you are, and it's not an easy place when you're on the inside. And as Lorne mentioned, I'm really passionate about neuroscience, and specifically about overcoming self-sabotage. Having battled it in myself every single day as an entrepreneur, I know exactly what it feels like when you're just, laden with procrastination for the things that you don't want to do. And that's usually because there's some mindset behind it or a belief that's driving it. When we look at our business today and what COVID has given us, I mean, I don't know about you, Lorne, but for us, it's really a gift. I think for everyone, if you can be in a place where you can receive everything that happens in life as sort of this gift that you unwrap and discover, you know, crisis doesn't have to break a business, but it does reveal the cracks. That's really what I've learned over all of this crisis management. And, to understand like what those cracks are, it ultimately is in three specific categories that we need to innovate. Okay. And even before I just explain this, I will say one thing. When we look back at this whole crisis doesn't have to break a business, and I wanted to show you this, my tank of guppies. I have this tank of guppies that's here. My son is 6 years old, and we bought this tank of guppies, and I had to change the water. And as I started fishing out all of these guppies, I know this is ridiculous, but I had to like go from one thing to the other, from one tank to the other, because we were transferring them. And by the morning, two guppies had died. Now, I don't know if you have children, but that is not a good thing for me. I'm not like mom of the year for killing guppies. And when I looked at this guppy in small detail, I'm going to tell you honestly that the most profound quote that I truly live my life on, whether it's business or personal, came straight to the forefront. And I want to share it with you. Out of all the places I've traveled around the world, and there's been, humbly over 60 countries where I've worked with businesses to help them grow and succeed, as well as these guppies, it's taught me this, that when Darwin published his work in The Origin of Species, that his bottom line was this, is that in the survival, right, in the survival, it is not the strongest nor the most intelligent that survive, but the ones most adaptive to change. Now, I really want you to take that home, because to be honest with you, I'm going to share some things with you and you're probably going to be like, oh yeah, these are great ideas, but you really need to try to embody at least one of them, because I don't want to see you floating to the top of the tank like the guppies, right? You people that are on this call right now want to succeed. You're investing in yourself. So the least you can do is do the thing that you know you need to do, and it will call you forward as I present this information. Okay. So be a guppy, just keep swimming, as Dory says it, right? So the three aspects of business success are mindset. First of all, how do we adapt? So what do we have to adapt inside of the mindset in order for us to grow and succeed? What new skills do we have to embody? And what new systems do we need to bring in order to automate a lot of what is necessary and what's going to be necessary from us moving forward? Now, one thing I want to share with you is that, we are a human touch business. And I'm writing a new book actually now called High Touch in a Touchless World. So it really examines all of the different businesses that require high trust physical touch in a touchless world, because what happens again if we have this whole people have to quarantine, etc. But not only that, people are used to now staying home, so we have to figure out how to inspire them out of their homes and get back on the table, get back into treatment, and get back into life full living. So it's really important for us to understand that we can't just go back to business as usual, because the client consumption journey has changed. Now, just so that I for sure don't forget to give this to you, and I'm sure they'll email it out or post it somewhere, but if you go to tanyachernova.com/COVID-19, I've got like a rise and reinvent kit. So it's for beauty and wellness businesses. And it's a resource guide that talks about a lot of the tools that you're going to need, like digital tools and other types of tools, in order to make this sort of leap forward. Okay. So this makes things a little bit easier for you. And I'll bring this up again at the end. So as we jump into the actual specific points I want to cover, I'd like you to take a minute and write down, and Lorne, you too, write down a revenue number that you wish to achieve. However you measure revenue for you in your business, whether it's per day, per week, per month, per hour, whatever that is. I mean, per month is easier. So I'd like you to write down whether it's top line or bottom line, that's completely up to you. And even if you could divide it up into new business or new patients and existing patients, okay? New patients and existing patients. Now, if for any reason you ever get to a point where you say, I can't take on any more patients because I'm up to here, that's when you know you're absolutely in a state of flood where you're like spilling over. And if you don't actually force the doors to grow, that's when your business starts to recede and you're going to, move into that place. Like they say, you're either growing or kind of shrinking. So we definitely want to continue growing. If you feel like you have no more room for your practice, you can email me and I'll give you a different set of information. But write down a revenue number that you wish to achieve. Okay, good. Circle that number 3 times. Okay, and then just add a 0 to that number. And now you'll know what at least minimum what I want for you. Okay, that's just like the minimum that I'm challenging you to grow, this year, because you can take advantage of this opportunity. Now, in order to understand where you are coming from, okay, where are we coming from? When I'm when I'm looking at someone as a wellness practitioner, as an acupuncturist like you are, first of all, we have to understand that today client spend is, I mean, it has been all of our lives. It's driven by social values. What do we deem important? And up until now, we deemed important our kids' education, which we still do, but look at how things have changed. We deemed most people will tell you that they will put premium gas in their car, but for some reason, they won't put premium food on their table, right? Most people will tell you that they're willing to renovate their home, but they're certainly not willing to renovate their body, right? It's up until now, we've really taken our health for granted in the North American landscape. Wellness has definitely been on the rise, but where, status at one point was coveted as the most important thing that, status, it's like, oh, what's your job or the car you drive? Now nobody's driving. It doesn't matter. Take Uber. You know what I mean? So now everything's really changed. But we used to believe that status and status symbols defined our success. Then eventually we moved into a new frame of reference, which was happiness. Like, how happy are you? 5, 7 years ago, an explosion of happiness books went on the market. And even the book that I wrote now measures success in your JPM, or your joy per minute. But now we're moving into a new quadrant of status, which is like, what is the definition of success? What do people envy? What do people look for? What do people say, wow, good for you, I wish I had that? And the number one answer to that is vitality. They are looking at people who are vital, they are vibrant, they are living life, they have the energy to get up, to get out, to cycle, to golf, to whatever it is that they're doing. And they're not just having that vitality today, they're literally banking that vitality into the future. And the younger generations, like the younger generations now, whether it's millennials or Gen Z is even pushing their parents to make better decisions, to take better care of themselves. So now that we even see that vitality is what's envied, when somebody looks good, like, wow, you are like radiant, that, I'm telling you, you cannot buy that. You need to earn that. And that is where we come in. We are the people that are here to help people understand what the journey is for their personal wellness. And one of the things I'll show you in a minute is something that I talk about called patient leadership or client leadership, depending on what quadrant you're in. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about what prevents us from moving forward. This is before COVID. Now, this is in every wellness industry. It doesn't matter. It's like we're born with healer DNA. If you're a person that wants to go out and help people, sometimes you might fall into this trap, or your professionals that work with you. So one of the problems that we have when it comes to helping people make better choices, which means not just seeing them on the table when they're reactive, to reacting to a pain, like, oh my gosh, my neck hurts, I need to go see my acupuncturist. I go to see an acupuncturist for my pain too, right? But it's like, I wait till I don't feel well and then I go to fix it. But in the world of wellness, one of the mind shifts I want you to consider is that we are now moving into a much more proactive society. And I'm letting you know this now. I want you to go out there and look for proof that's so. I want you to start telling people are going to say, so what have you noticed in your business? I want you to say to them, you know what, I'm noticing that people are taking a much more proactive approach to their health and wellness, and they're coming in well before anything bad happens so that they can align their body and be ready for their best life now. Like, you need to be the person out there sharing that good news. Okay. So what prevents us from doing that is, number one, often professionals in the healing industry fear being seen as salespeople. It's like, but I don't want to sell you anything. Come in, what's good for you. I've got all these wonderful things and all these extra things. And if you don't have extra things to sell them, this is a really important time for you to start thinking about what are the things that you personally rely on. to make yourself well every day, and what new revenue mix do you need to have on your shelves. But if you fear being seen as a salesperson, that is a natural obstacle, because what sales really is, and Lauren and I talked about this before, is that sales, what's the act of, with the act of a purchase, the act of a sale and a purchase together, is the transfer of trust and enthusiasm. Yeah, like the act of I'm buying it. It's trust and enthusiasm. And you need to know that if they're already naked on your table, letting needles go into their neck, they trust you. And all you need to do, though, is you need to be enthusiastic. But the problem is that whenever you have fear, you just choke right up, because it literally just closes your throat. So we were doing that oxy breathing before. Like really relaxing your vocal cords so that you get that oxytocin, so that you, it doesn't even really matter what you're producing in there. You just have to realize something. Unless you're enthusiastic and passionate, don't wait for them to, catch it. It's got to be contagious, right? So spread that. But professionals in our industry often fear, being seen as salespeople, because they don't want to be untrustworthy. Know that everything you're recommending is for their best interest, not just today, not just to solve a current problem, but so that they can build their body of tomorrow, and it can house the spirit that will last forever. Okay. So leading the sale is what's necessary. That's the next sort of thing. But that's one of the obstacles we face. Another one is many clinics, especially now, offering the same services and brands that are now also sold online, right? With all of these different services available, and it sounds the same, even though you're very unique, and I know you're unique. The problem is that it doesn't really, people don't really understand what the actual language is, or how to differentiate you. So how to differentiate yourself, that's the really big obstacle, I feel. And that's easier for you to do, because if the antidote to the first thing was understanding that all sales is a transfer of trust and enthusiasm. Once you've gained trust, you simply transfer enthusiasm and give them a new value to embody. Number two is that it's harder to differentiate your brand and your clinic as a destination. So you need to really dig into, what is my wellness philosophy? What is it that I believe in that's so unique to us as a holistic way of living, and offer a holistic way of living and a path to vitality, and not just services. Okay. And number three, with clinics offering discounts, you can't control it. It becomes harder to attract and retain new patients without falling into that same discount trap. And let's face it, when somebody's in pain in front of you, they're usually off work. They're usually, a whole bunch of other stuff is happening at the same time. So it's definitely very easy to say, look, why don't you just take everything for free, and I'll help you, and then karma will bless me. I wish I wish that was listen, I'm sure you have a really full karma bank, but really, it's really important that you know that when a person is struggling, that's when they need to make that commitment to themselves, quite frankly, and invest the time and the money necessary to make themselves a priority. And if they don't, their life will continue to speak louder into their life, because we know more than anyone that pain is a messenger. It's not just a happening, it's not just an accident. If you're already connected to the higher source of everything that's guiding you in the world, if that's you, then you'll know that these are, we listen with love to our body's messages. So it's really important that we become people who are willing to share that passion and help other people understand, and help our patients understand what it really means to listen with love to their body's messages and prioritize their health now. So what do you think so far, Lauren? You want to give me a thumbs up if we're in a good place?
We're in a good place. We have about, I think, 5 minutes before we can wrap up, and I can chat with you. But I want to reiterate again for everybody listening here, is this idea of sales that you're not really selling. You're transferring trust and enthusiasm. It's a form of education. And just to remind my colleagues, because that slide about the fear around looking salesy, this is, you're not selling them toxic chemicals, things that you're not swampland. You're selling them You are providing them something that's going to benefit them. There is value there. And now your job is to educate them about the value rather than, like you said, premium gas versus premium food. It's changing the priority,
Yeah.
so they can have that vitality now. So I really appreciate what you're sharing here, and please continue on.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so the mindset shift is thinking, okay, I'm not just a service provider, but I'm also a wellness advisor. And that's really necessary because you're going to start doing more things online as well as on site. And one of the things that, I talk about a lot is embracing client or patient leadership, where you take them by the hand and guide them through their path to vitality, to health, wellness, and vitality. So, since we've got a few minutes left, I'm really excited to say that now that you're not so worried about sales, I want to give you some psychology behind how sales happens for your consumer, your future patients, and your current ones. Okay. So there's three different types of sales that I want you to consider, and then take one thing that you're going to do away from just this next section. Okay. So the simplest form of sales is transactional sales. Okay. That's when your patient or your future, like you're basically your future patient, knows their need, right? They have a problem, they have a pain, they have poor circulation, they want to get pregnant. They know that they have a need, and they're like, you know what? Acupuncture is where I want to go. The question you have to answer now in terms of your actions is, how do you make yourself visible? How do you make yourself accessible and top of mind? So is your, like, how can you make your social media super targeted to the whatever it is that you are very, very, very good at offering, especially when they know their need? How can you be top of mind? What can you do to be like absolutely there when they need you so that they think of you right away, as if it's like law of attraction? And then even if it's on Instagram or Facebook, the ability to book an appointment. Like, honestly, the companies right now that have a human being picking up the phone to say hello instead of a giant recording, because we're on limited staff for COVID, you will pick up 100% of the patients that hang up the phone on other people. Like, you have got to make sure that you are 100% right there when they're willing to spend the money. The second sale is a little bit longer process. It's called solution sale. That's when your patient knows their problem, but they don't know what they need, right? They can't say, oh, you know what? I need acupuncture. I've said that before because I know what I need. But now somebody might say, oh, my hips are really sore. My back is really hurting me. My liver, I've had way too much, wine over the summer break. I don't know how to detox. Like, they have a problem. Something hurts, something's bothering them, but they don't know that you're the solution. So now this is all about how well can you articulate the problem that they're facing? Like, how good are you at saying, are you feeling these pains and aches, and that type of thing, or like that are related to detox? Are you finding yourself with headaches, etc.? So the more they can go, wow, this person, this professional, this business understands me, and you can share the solution in a very concise way with a clear offer, then they'll want to buy it from you. Don't be mistaking yourself by actually considering helping them consider an offer, but not saying, and from me. It's like, yeah, you guys can take this vitamin, or you guys can go and do this, or you guys can do, no, like, from me, you need to take responsibility and get them on the journey and embrace those people. They're yours. Okay. And then consultative sales. Now, that's the third one that's a little bit longer, but this is when your patient doesn't know their need, they don't know their problem, but they know their goal. I love these kinds of people. They say, you know what? I don't really know what's going on with me right now, but what I know is I want to be 65 and, touch my toes, climb Mount Kilimanjaro, whatever the goal is. And that's why I really always encourage your social media and your marketing and your website to have aspirational photos of people doing great things, because it's not about just solving a problem. It's about the aspirational goal of what health gives you. So your ability to uncover, this is the key now with your questioning, their most pressing goals. So it's not about where's your problem, where's your pain. It's about where's your goal? At what age do you want to look like, feel like X? And let's put together a treatment plan, a strategy to achieve it, which is why I'm going to recommend that you take at least one half day of your week and start booking consultations or product routine reviews with your patients over Skype or Zoom, and be goal oriented. Start to transition some of your reactive patients, the ones that have been loyal, from reactive only when I need to basis into a proactive, I'm going to make a treatment plan, I'm going to prioritize myself. Because everybody I talk to this year and into the future will say, I want to take better care of myself, but they don't know where to start. Even that offer to say, let's get on a Zoom call, get your consultation process nailed, and have it done. And the final thing, which you don't have to necessarily remember, but this is when you're able to inspire your clients with all of it, like it's insight selling. And you have what's called an ecosystem, which is what I envision for you. Don't freak out. But normally we have like an on-site visit where they come in and they check in and they go to the treatment, they go to the amenity, they go to the washroom. But I want you to think about the fact that there's an online journey. So when you think about having like, that's why it's like, I said to Lorne, what are they called? They're called patients, but they're not going to be patients forever, because you're going to also see them when they're healthy. So why don't we give them something else? Why don't we reinvent the name just a little bit so that we can see that we have basically a person that we're going to take care of from, you know, in an infinite loyalty loop. So from cradle to grave, as we say, right? From fertility all the way through. And we really, we really hope that you understand that who you are is so deeply important, and that all the work that you do just fuels humanity to be its best, because a person who's in alignment and who's feeling in harmony with themselves is a person who adds just the most beautiful music to the world. So I want to thank you so much.
Tanya, thank you very much. And for those that want to go deeper, I have been chatting with Tanya and we've had her create a course. So if you want to go and do deeper, check out for her course release on healthyseminars.com. Check out TanyaChernova.com, her website as well, for her coaching and speaking, her book. And you can also check out, I offer workshops on a regular basis, lornebrown.com. So lots of resources for you guys. And the take home message here, there's so many that you shared with us, Tanya. And just to remind everybody is there's a change happening, and there's always change. We can always give it a name, but there's always something going on in the world, it seems, and at a more rapid pace that we're having these times of uncertainty. And the key here is to pivot. If you want everything to stay the same, then I don't know. I don't have great advice for you. It's kind of like, if you remember blockbusters, they don't exist anymore.
Mhm.
So if you see the environment changing, it does require you to pivot. So there is an opportunity. Keyword here is opportunity. When things are changing, they may look difficult. We do that deep breath. And then she talked about getting some skills. So there may be things you're going to add to your repertoire as an acupuncturist that you can do. And there are so many things outside the box that you can do that you can continue to be of service and of value to your community. And therefore, you can get paid well to make other people's lives better for it. And so it can become an enjoyable process. And that was the idea of introducing you, Tanya, to the group, is to let them know there's ways to do this. Yes, we're in change, but guess what? We're now always in change, it seems. And it's our opportunity to pivot, take that deep breath. And this can be a playful, enjoyable process. And it's really, that's why I love your book, about changing how you're going to perceive, interpret what's happening. And it's an opportunity. I see it. Many people in our profession are stepping up and doing things for their community and for their colleagues, to improve their lives. And so we're hoping you will step up and do this as well, you, the listeners. So I wanted to thank you, Tanya, again for putting this together. And I look forward to your comprehensive course again on healthyseminars.com. If you're looking for my manifestation workshop, that's on lornebrown.com. That's also where you can access my book, Missing the Point. Here's a great book to read. And if you have any last words, I will wrap it up. But do you have any last words you want to share with the group?
I mean, I do. First of all, thank you so much for everything that you do and what you've you've contributed to the entire industry. You're really exceptional. And I'm always in awe of the next steps that you're taking in your life. But I want to share also with everyone, you know what? We can call it change, we can call it disruption, we can call it a lot of things. What it really is evolution. This is what the world looks like when it's working. We are moving forward, folks. And the most important thing is to get out of isolation, to get into conversation, to understand that this is the time where you poke your head out and start listening to all the different tools that are around you, and really think to yourself, what's the one thing I can do, and start with the first small step and then the next small step. It's exciting.
And it is, like you mentioned, the evolution. It can be uncomfortable. It can
Mhm.
be scary. It can be anxiety driven. And get the tools, and then you get to breathe and do these things.
Yeah.
You get to make the shifts. All right. I want to thank again the American Acupuncture Council for having me host To the Point. And I want to remind you to tune in next week because we got your host, Virginia Duran, back on the AAC To the Point. Thank you very much.